Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing another news and stuff video. I didn't wait too long between doing them, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm hoping that this one will be easier for me to edit, but we'll see. There's still quite a bit of news. It feels like every time that I open Instagram there's just more book news being announced, so it's very exciting, but it's also very hard to keep up with. So hopefully these videos help you. Okay, so as usual, you guys know the drill. I'm going to start with special editions, and the first thing that I'm going to talk about, which I have not actually seen publicly announced anywhere yet, so I do hope it's okay that I'm talking about it here, but LitJoy Crate is going to be doing an edition of Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, which I am really excited about. Vampire Academy is one of my favorite series. It is just so much fun, and I'm really excited that this series is finally getting special editions. We have the Fairy Loot ones that are being released soon, and it seems like the LitJoy ones are going to be coming in 2024, and whether that means they're going to be up for pre-order in 2024 or if the physical copies will be released in 2024, of that I am not entirely sure of. So the reason I know this is because I joined LitJoy Crate, became like a Lunicorn, before they released their special edition of Neil Gaiman's Stardust, because I was like, I have to get the slipcased one, and Lunicorns get early access. So I got an email the other day that was like, Lunicorn sale thing. So I clicked on it and then it was like Vampire Academy. And I was like, holy cow. So very excited. So their editions will have new covers and new illustrations. The first book will be signed by Rochelle Mead, and all 6 books will be annotated by Rochelle. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm hoping that if Rochelle went back and reread and annotated all of these books, she's gonna just feel so inspired that she's gonna want to write more books set in this world. Then it was announced that the Bookish Box is doing an edition of Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. This is their August adult book, and I really like the color scheme on this one. I think it's a lot of fun. It's like bright pink, super gorgeous. I totally signed up to get this because, as you guys know, I am like an Olivia Blake super fan, even though I've only read one of her books. So excited to get my hands on this. And then also for the Bookish Box, but this time for their YA subscription, for their August book, they are doing The Bonesmith by Nikki Palpretto, and their edition is really cool. I really like the skull on it. I personally think I'm going to wait and see what the Fairy Loot edition looks like, and then I will probably buy whichever one I like better secondhand because I have very high hopes for that book. Then over on, was it Twitter or Instagram? I don't remember. Anyway, Ryan Cahill released a new piece of artwork that's going to be included in the Broken Binding edition of his novella, The Fall. Wow, this just got me so much more excited to read the series. There is this woman, there's a dragon in the corner, and she's just like surrounded by dragon eggs. It looks so cool. Then Hotterscape announced that they are releasing another hardcover edition of Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. For those who don't know, when the first edition came out, the first run of hardcovers all had what Stephanie had been referring to as secret covers. So there were 4 different illustrations that could potentially be under the dust jacket foiled onto your hardcover. A lot of people missed out on that. They were very difficult to find. Sometimes even if you pre-ordered it, you didn't end up getting ones with the special cover because they were that high in demand. I think the publisher like severely underestimated how many copies that book would sell. So they are coming out with another hardcover printing, and it's going to have a different secret cover, but all of them will have the same cover, and this one is really nice, and I do like that it actually incorporates all 4 of the original secret covers into the design, so they're all visible in the corners, which is pretty nice. Personally, I'm still very happy that I got the Fox version. Then, as I mentioned in my last news video, the Broken Binding did indeed reveal their edition of Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. So we knew that it was coming, but now we finally have the mock-up for it, and it is really lovely, just as expected. I love the sprayed pages on this one, and again, I'm just so glad that they are using the US cover art because I think that that is the best art for the series. So beautiful. The Broken Binding also announced, this is like a tongue twister, their next subscription series for subscribers. And they're going to be doing the Powder Mage trilogy from October until December by Brian McClellan. I personally have not read this one yet, but people seem to be really excited about it. They also released a little bit more info online and said that I think they have like 10 illustrations for the series. Everything is going to have foiled hardbacks. And I hadn't known this, but the reason that they decided to do a tier 2 subscription is that it made the books more affordable for them to order. It gave more people the opportunity to order as well, obviously. And it seems like since Broken Binding has started their company, they've really learned a lot about doing special editions, producing books, and just they have really high standards when it comes to quality, which is amazing. For people who don't know, like some of the subscribers have been waiting for their Great Leveler set of Joe Abercrombie's books, and it's because Broken Binding keeps like rejecting what the printer has done because they want them to be like as perfect as possible, which is really wonderful to hear when you're dealing with a company that's putting out special editions. They just continue to be like one of my favorite companies ever. And then also from the Broken Binding, they announced their special edition of the Last War trilogy by Mike Shackle. So this is actually the first time that the series is ever being offered in hardcover. It does keep the original covers. I do really like the color scheme on these. They have beautiful sprayed pages. I really like the foiling on the hardbacks. Can't resist a sword. I haven't read these yet, but so many people really love them, so I'm going to be picking up a copy and hopefully reading them soon. We also got a Barnes & Noble special edition of Curious Tides by Pascal Lascelles. I really like that they used purple on this edition instead of the blue of the original. I think it gives off like a more witchy vibe. And since my last news video, I did read that free short story on Simon Teen's website, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm very much looking forward to reading the full novel. And this one comes out on October 3rd. Then Illumicrate is doing a version of The Hunting Moon by Susan Dennard. So this edition matches their edition of The Luminaries, which is the first book in the series, and I think that this book, The Hunting Moon, is just beyond gorgeous. I really love the design of it. I personally haven't read these books, and I don't plan on doing so, but I still can appreciate the beauty that is these books. Illumicrate is also doing an edition of Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and I think that their edition is gorgeous. The cover looks like stained glass. The naked hardcover has a dragon on it, and the sprayed pages are phenomenal. Illumicrate is also going to be doing a special edition of the Black Magician trilogy by Trudy Canavan. I had actually never even heard of these books. They were not on my radar at all. They are an early 2000s YA fantasy series, and they seem to have quite a few fans. I just don't know how they were never on my radar, but now I'm very curious about them. And I also just really love that Illumicrate is like going for it and doing an older series that some people might not have heard of. I think that's super cool of them, and I really hope they'll delve into doing some more books that just weren't around in the age of special editions. Then Fairy Loot revealed their edition of The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin, and I think this one is stunning. I love the black roses coffin and also the long-stemmed red rose on the sprayed pages. I just think that this edition is so gorgeous. I'm definitely going to be picking this one up. Then I also have a couple of Waterstone special editions to talk about. So the first one is that they did an edition for Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff, which is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series. People were freaking out when this was announced, and I know a ton of people like set their alarms for 5 a.m. so that they could pick up a copy like the second that it was released. Waterstones has said that once these are gone, they're gone. That's it. So I am shocked to tell you that they are actually still in stock. They must have really stocked up on these. So if you do want a copy, I would suggest ordering one sooner rather than later because you don't know how long they'll be around. I personally am going to wait for the Illumicrate edition. I assume they're going to do a sequel since they did the first book. Waterstones also has a special edition of Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. Their edition is signed, which is really nice, but theirs uses the UK cover, which I personally don't like as much as the US version, which is pretty rare. Waterstones also has a special edition of The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon, and this is a new fantasy that's coming out in, I want to say October, and I feel like there's been a lot of hype around it, so I'm pretty excited to check it out. I think the Waterstones edition is really lovely. I love the purple and gold like marbling. I think that's going to be really pretty in person. But I do believe that it's also going to be the Fairy Loot book for October. I'm curious to see which edition I will like better. But I'm out of skips on Fairy Loot, so I will be getting that one. And then Waterstones did a special edition of The Fragile Threads of Power by Victoria Schwab. This is the edition that I ordered. It is definitely more close to the original covers within the series, and I personally just like those so much better than the new really colorful ones that have been released. So I will definitely be waiting a little bit longer to get my copy. However, I think that this is like the one. I love it. And then lastly, Waterstones also has a special edition up for pre-order for Sword of Destiny by Wesley Chu. This one has really nice sprayed edges. It's the second book in the Art of Prophecy series. Hope that Art of Prophecy is the first book. I don't know if that's necessarily the name of the series, but it's an Asian-inspired martial arts fantasy. And on this one, I'm personally waiting to see if the Broken Binding is going to do an edition of this book, since I have the first one from them. Then moving on to cover reveals. So we got the US and UK cover reveal for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first time that both the US and the UK are using the same cover art. It's definitely my favorite of the traditionally published covers that have been revealed just yet. And this one's coming out October 3rd, though I know that there's a little bit of controversy because it seems like the UK is going to be doing different covers for Brandon Sanderson books going forward. So fans are not exactly thrilled that their books won't match. I think Brandon said he wasn't even sure if the spines would be white, although he was fighting for it. So I'm not sure how that landed, but I've heard like whisperings about that. Then we got a cover for A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana, and this looks so cute. I'm actually in the middle of reading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches right now, and I'm loving it, so I'm very much looking forward to her next book. This one's coming April 2nd of 2024. Oh, and the cover that I have displayed here is the UK cover. Then it was announced that Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman is getting a deluxe hardcover edition, and this one's going to be coming out on October 3rd. I read this book in middle school, and I've been really wanting to revisit it, so I feel like this is a good time to do so. Then Emily Henry announced her next romance novel, which is entitled Funny Story, and we also got the cover for it. This one is coming out on April 23rd, and we are following a children's librarian with a very convoluted storyline. So she ends up falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex-fiance. So that sounds pretty complicated. The next cover I am completely obsessed with, and that is To a Darker Shore by Leanne Schwartz. It is just so perfect in every single way, and I really, really love this art design. It features a plus-size main character, and I don't know, this art just like speaks to me. This one's coming out from Page Street in April of 2024. We also got a cover for Till Death Do Us Bard by Rose Black. First of all, I'm obviously picking this up because I love bards. Like, just give me any bard story and I'm in. But second of all, they say that it's perfect for fans of Legends and Lattes and Nettle and Bone, which are two books that I love very deeply. It seems like this book is being released as an ebook only on November 23rd, but I'm hopeful that it will do well and will eventually get a physical release because I will need a copy for my shelves. Another book that was just recently released is The Book of Witches by Jonathan Strahan. So this is a book of 29 witchy tales by a plethora of SFF authors. The book also has illustrations, and it includes stories from Peta Jelly Clark, Fonda Lee, Ken Liu, Garth Nix, Andrea Stewart, and Tade Thompson, just to name a few. Sorry, this is actually coming out on August 29th, so it's not out yet. Then we got a cover for Song of the Huntress by Lucy Holland. I really love this cover as well. This one is a retelling that transforms the folk tale Perla and the Wild Hunt into a rich feminist fantasy. And this one's coming out in winter of 2024 from Orbit. Then we got a cover for Immortal Pleasures by V. Castro. This one's coming April 16th of 2024, and the description says that it's perfect for fans of vampires and Anne Rice. I like the cover of this one. I think it's like a bit like darker and racier than we've been seeing lately on covers. It kind of reminds me of like an old vampire cover. It doesn't like romanticize it as much. So I have high hopes for this one. Then we got this absolutely amazing cover for Masquerade by O.O. Sangoyami. This cover is like breathtaking. This one's coming July 2nd of 2024, and just wait until you hear this description. It's a medieval West African retelling of a villainous Persephone. Wow. Then we also got the special edition cover for Hopeless by Elsie Silver. I really like the green on this one. I think it's very pretty. I have all of the books in this series, but I have not started reading them yet, so I really need to do that. But the next book's coming out on October 13th. And then the last cover reveal is for When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This is a new adult fantasy, but that sounds like I'm saying it's a new adult fantasy, where I mean that it is a new adult fantasy. This one's coming May 14th of 2024, and it's a contemporary fantasy in which creatures from Slavic folklore are real. And I personally think the cover of this one is insanely cool. It kind of reminds me of the vein of the new Daniel L. Jensen cover that I shared in the last one. I like that some fantasy covers are kind of moving in this direction. I feel like it's a potential new trend that we'll be seeing. Then moving on to general book news. Andrew and I have been rewatching How I Met Your Mother, and I really wanted to go general book news. So there is currently a Kickstarter campaign running for a graphic novel version of Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It is being adapted by Colleen Doran, who has adapted some of Neil Gaiman's short stories into comics in the past. I particularly loved her version of Snow, Glass, and Apples. I think that was what it was called. That was a really lovely graphic novel. So very excited to see the art that she's going to do. Since this Kickstarter dropped, it has since become the #1 comics Kickstarter in Kickstarter history. So that's very cool. I think that dropping it around the time of the second season of the show was very smart. And then speaking about Good Omens, Neil Gaiman has announced that if Good Omens does not get picked up by Amazon for a third season, that Neil will write another Good Omens book that will tell us the plot of what was supposed to happen. So Neil and Terry had talked about writing a sequel to Good Omens, but obviously it never came to fruition. So it's been said that season 2 of Good Omens is kind of like a filler season. There's not really high stakes or too much happening in it, but it is basically the bridge to the bigger story that would be coming in season 3. So knowing that it's going to be one or the other, I don't really know which one I would prefer. I wish that we could just get both of them, because I would read it and I would watch it. Then we got a release date for Ryan Cahill's next novella in the Bound and the Broken series, and that is called The Ice. This one's going to be released on September 23rd, and I am just so excited to start this series. I know I mentioned it earlier, but it just looks so good. Then Elise Kova announced that her Married to Magic series got picked up by Orion Fiction. So basically this means that it will bring physical editions of the Married to Magic series to the UK, New Zealand, Australia, and beyond. So the hardcover, I think they're doing hardcover and paperback editions, and they will both be using the original cover art that's used in the US. Then Andrzej Sapkowski also announced that he's working on another Witcher novel. We have zero information at all as to what exactly it will entail, aside from the fact that he's been writing it, and he said that it will likely happen within the next year. I have not yet finished the Witcher series, and I'm kind of on the fence about doing so. Then it was announced that there is a new romance anthology coming out called Improbable Meet Cute, and it includes so many of the biggest romance authors today, including Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez, Ashley Poston, Jasmine Guillory, and many more. And each of the stories in this anthology are going to be Valentine's Day themed with a focus on meet cutes. This one's going to be publishing in January of 2024, so right in time for Valentine's Day, and it's coming out from Amazon Original Stories. And then it was also announced that there is a deluxe hardcover edition coming of Vinland Saga, so you can currently pre-order randomly the first and the third ones. I don't know why you can't pre-order the second one yet, but the first one's going to be coming in December of 2023. I really like the style of it. I think it looks really beautiful. It looks kind of like a leather-bound-ish book, and I definitely am getting it. The first deluxe hardcover will encompass volumes 1 to 3 of the series, and it just looks very gorgeous. And then moving on to adaptation news, which again is definitely much quieter with all of the SAG and WGA strikes happening. And again, I really hope that those can be resolved soon and that we can get AI out. I think it is very bad. So first is actually a video game announcement. I have no idea how I missed this because apparently it was announced a month ago, but Nintendo is going to be releasing an Avatar: The Last Airbender game for the Nintendo Switch this fall. The graphics look pretty cool, and it looks like it's going to pretty closely follow the animated series of Avatar. So I'm pretty excited about that because that's one of my favorite shows. Then it was announced that The Summer I Turned Pretty has been officially picked up for season 3. So luckily that means that we will get the full story. We'll get to see all 3 books adapted, which is really exciting. I don't like that they're being released week to week. That was such a binge series for me when the first season came out, and I'm waiting until we have all of the episodes so that I can just watch them all in one go. And then lastly, it was announced that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle purchased the rights to Carly Fortune's Meet Me at the Lake. They're going to be adapting this book for Netflix, which is pretty exciting for Carly. I personally wish that they were adapting her first book Every Summer After instead, but that's just me. So that is all the news that I have to share in this video. Hopefully you guys found out something new. And yeah, I'm gonna continue to try to do these a little bit more often so that I can keep you guys updated on everything happening. But thank you for watching this video, and I will see you soon in a new one. Bye!